So what we'll try to reproduce is this agent that you probably show that now allowed us to do these kind of things. So we start from a product pack shot, and then based on that, we create variation, we create different IDs, and then we animate them. So this is what we will do together for the next 30 minutes or so. Here, I will start from the beginning of the platform, and instead of starting from a template, we'll be a bit bold, and we click on create an agent. So here, this is a canvas, and this is like what we call the studio internally. It is where you can build your agent. Before I get started, go further, who is already familiar with products that requires building workflows, like node-based interfaces, products like Make, NA10, for example. What is level? Okay, need that. Yeah, Giuseppe also. Okay, and who doesn't know anything about that? Who's like a complete beginner when it comes to this? Okay, so we have most of people who are neither beginners nor experts. So let's anyway, I try to be like quite to kind of remind you the basics before doing things. So here we have a white canvas. Of course, yeah, exactly. Exactly. In 20 minutes, you will all get it. I also try, so I try to do two things during this session. Of course, to show you like how to get the output, but I try to explain you how the best models work and like what model you can use for what use case. And I also try to explain you like how to play with these building blocks, basically. So first, let's start with an image, because the assumption I take here, if you're in e-commerce, you have like one thing always, which is a good image. So here we'll start with a product. Like this image of the product. I took a Yves Rocher cream, a pack shot. This is probably a good starting point for us. Now we start with something very basic. It will try to create a kind of first image integrated the product. So here, what do I need? I have this block, like this node. A node is what? It's either a piece of information we share with the model. So here we decided to share this image, or it can be an action taken by an AI model. Here, to get my first like micro agent, I need two things. The first one is and I drag and drop it here, I need an AI image model. Then I need to give an instruction to this AI image model. And so I need a text prompt. So here we have a first micro agent, and which is not really, it's probably a bit like if you just want to do that, right? It's probably even easier to use Gemini directly and use Nano Banana, right? But this is the very first block of the work. Here, I just write a very simple prompt, like the Yves Rocher cream is outdoor on a wooden table in Provence villa, why not village in France. So here I just do something like, very, very basic. It's kind of where we can start. And at the same time, I can compare this output with like other models. So for example, we have like Nano Banana, we know is very good with this kind of use cases, but we may think it's not enough. So we'll try with Seedream, for example. Seedream is another great model for these use cases. I take care here to take I can select the aspect ratio. So I can select like among a bunch of models, as you can see when I create the image node, and I can create select the aspect ratio. I decided here to take HD because I know Seedream is better when there's like, it's a bit slower, but it's also better when there is HD. And at the same time, I also make an attempt with Flux Context Max, which is another good model for product consistency. So here I just duplicate the node and ask to generate. I just add someone else. Here we go. So now we have our different visuals that are popping up, and I'll explain you okay, what's good here and what we can do better. So this is a pretty decent photo. The picture looks okay, right? The integration in the scene is not very natural. It looks a bit like a copy paste. Here we have clearly a proportion issue, and here I think the product is not really the same. Okay, so here this is the first phase. Now, how can we improve that? This is the starting point. We first need a good image, and there are two ways we can improve. The first one is we can improve the prompt. The prompt, once you have the good model, and here I think Seedream, I'll probably remove Flux Context Max, which is not as good on that use case. But I think Seedream and Nano Banana are two good models we start from. But we want a better prompt now. Now we have the good image, we have the good model, we want a better prompt. And so here I'll share like the first tip that I really recommend when you use AI. It's don't write your prompt yourself. Ask an AI model to basically ask an AI model to write your prompt. That's kind of the overall recommendation I would make. So here I will just take here, instead of plugging my prompt directly here, I will send this prompt to an AI text node. This AI text node is an LLM. So an LLM is like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. So here I will send that to Gemini 2.5 Pro, which, by the way, I think is the best model when it comes to understanding image and describing visual compositions. Here I just take a prompt system that I like. It's a bit like when you create a GPT, you can store in the memory of the model something, and this is what I do here. So here I say like, okay, you're a creative director. And I took an old prompt, so I just tried to trick it, right? You are a creative director and prompt engineer. Transform what I say, like user instruction and provided. Transform user instruction for into a prompt for an AI image model that makes a polished commercial image with seamless production integration of the provided product. So here you see what I do is I send this image, my prompt, to the text model. And then I ask the text model to strengthen the prompt, the instruction I will share, because this instruction is quite poor, right? I don't explain a lot like what I want artistically speaking. So it's a bit weak and we want to do better. And so here I just like give some instructions, a bit like if you're directing someone, right? You will say, actually, I want the product to be well visible, everything that is you're looking to integrate. And I could also, and I show that later, like I could also integrate elements of brand guidelines here. What I can do here, visual references and so on. I could also integrate these elements, so it increases the quality of my overall prompt. Here, I'll just check that my prompt is correct. Okay, here we go. So here we launch. By the way, we could also use this step, like we could also enable web search here and provide even more information about the brand and say like, okay, make sure, it fits Yves Rocher brand guidelines and so on. Here, the model could autonomously look for such information. So here I created, like, as you can see here, it returned a way better prompt. Why it's way better? First, it's more detailed. Second, it details a bit what the product looks, which increases the product consistency of the model. It gives also more elements of art direction, like warm, bright glow of early morning sunlight. It describes the lens size. So all these things tend to like improve the quality of the assets. And let's just now run 2 iterations. So here we'll just a little bit. These models take roughly 20 seconds to be generated. So here we have something nicer, right? It's not perfect yet, but we can see we have like the lighting, the integration is way better into the scene and so on. So it's probably something we like more. And this, I think we still have a pretty big proportion issue, which is interesting. But here also, I think the art direction was better than the initial one. So I think for the rest of it, we'll just work with Nano Banana, which would be a better. Now, and here I'd like your opinion about that. I can show you 2 things. One thing is, how can we make the initial image of the initial scene better? And the tricks that I would show you is basically how you first create the composition, where you have a lot of control on the image. And the second option we can have is we go straight to actually trying different directions. So how do I use like this setup, but to make 3 different directions immediately? So what do you prefer? Any preferred option?
What's the first option?
The first option is basically I show you how to get a lot of creative control on to improve the quality of this first image, and we really focus on that initially. The second option is more I show you how to use this to do a lot of different possibilities. So instead of just having like one Provence house, I ask the agent to come up with like 3 or 5 different visual concepts, more or less the same, like more like with quite a lot of differences.
I'm up for the second option.
Okay, would someone like to see like the high creative control part and the very first part? Or are you like, this is the level of quality which is already good and control which is already good, we can just like live with that and just build other stuff?
The first option is to just prompt it better, right?
It's a bit more than that. Okay, so let's try to show a bit control, and then I'll do the thing where well, then like once you have the control, like where you can scale that. So the objective of the second approach where you have more control is of the first approach. Sorry, the objective of the first approach where you have more control is to use models for what they are good at. Nano Banana is a very, very good model, but it's very, very good at integrating a product, at consistency. It's not that good when it comes to art direction. So what I do here is I will create I just like show an example which is already pre-made basically before we do our own, is I will create a scene first. And once I have the scene, I show you like how we can integrate the product into it. And I that's why I try to like, I need to think about it, but I can then share it. So here, this is another example, right? We're just like, I'm showing like how it works, and then we will rebuild that. Here, what I did is I provided a brief, my product pack shots, brand guidelines about Veuve Clicquot, and a mood board. And instead of just saying like we did, now create a visual for Veuve Clicquot, integrating the product, I decided to take one more step. I took a step where I just generate without the right product. I don't care. I still place a similar product because this is what gives me, at least I'm sure the proportions will be good at the end, and the integration with the lighting, shadows, and so on will be good. But here I create like 2 composition images. And here at least I have more flexibility because at this stage I work with the best models like Reve, Flux, Animating is very good as well to create this kind of initial scene. So here I'll show like how we can rebuild that. I just steal this prompt system and I show you how we can rebuild that in our scene. The only thing I will not do is I will not provide like all this mood board thing and so on, otherwise we won't have time. So here we'll keep this on the side, right? This initial image, and we'll just add another step here where I'll ask an LLM again to generate prompt. Here I say, okay, your prompt and answer. Your objective is to transform like a visual concept ID. So this is what I say here. Yeah, I'll share that with you, Raphael. If I forget at the end, please ping me. But Raphael, maybe like the other one, the Raphael from Pletor, if you can send me a Slack message so I don't forget that would be appreciated. So here, what I say is like, okay, you receive a visual concept ID. And actually I don't want here. For each visual concept ID, you should generate one prompt and send it back. And here, basically what I do is I say like, I provide a very precise qualitative structure to make sense that it could create a good scene for my Yves Rocher cream. And so here it will, basically, I don't care at this stage, I don't care about integrating the product. So my prompt will not, you know, here in this prompt, there's a lot of space used to describe the cream, right? Here, like all of that, for example, is to describe the cream and so on. So I lose a bit of focus on like what really matters at the beginning is to create a beautiful image. And then what I do, like, I can already anticipate that. I send that, again, without my product reference, to a few good image models for style. So Reve is a good model. It's often compared with Midjourney in terms of like cinematic style. I'll also, oh shit, here. So here we can already launch a generation. You see like here, it made like something like a pretty detailed prompt where it explains like, I think it could even be better, by the way, but we can like 8K resolution, photorealistic. It really details the different textures, lighting, framing, composition. So you have something which is better. So here I just try with different models that are pretty known for like beautiful compositions, images, and so on. And I take another one, and I like also Imagen 4 here. Okay, so here we have, now we'll soon have 3 images. So we can see the structure is a bit more, you know, refined. So there's still this like blurry background. So we could modify, by the way, if that's not something we want, we could modify the prompt here. But like we have something which is a bit more nicer in terms of aesthetics. And let's assume like this is a Flux Crea that we like the most. I think it's quite cool the way like the leaf is here. Now we want to integrate the product, right? So what we will do is now we have that, and I just remove the rest, right? What we don't use. I say like, okay, Flux Crea is cool. Now let's integrate the product. So to integrate the product, it's quite simple, right? I mean, I need to take my reference image, this one, my product pack shot, this one, and I need to add a prompt. And my prompt, let's try with a very simple prompt. The good thing here is that I don't need to make such a complicated prompt, right? Because my image composition is already here. I just need to swap the product. Replace the white jar, I'm not sure the right cream jar by the orange Yves Rocher product. So here, if I'm lucky, it should work. I make super, a very low detailed prompt, but let's see. By the way, this also, one thing we could do, if you want to go even better, is we could upscale the image. So we could, for example, use Magnific here and upscale the image so the texture and so on will be even more realistic. So here we integrated the product, but like something wrong happened is that as you can see, the proportions are not the right ones now. Here it was a bit more horizontal and now it's quite like vertical. This is a very typical problem when we do like this technique. And so we'll try to solve it in two ways. The first one is I try just to prompt it a little bit more, make sure to stick to the exact proportions of the orange if secret. So here, one way to solve that is actually just to play with the prompt and to really insist. So the model really understands that it's not a matter of like, I don't want to use this as an example of the proportion. I just want to remove that. If that doesn't work, we'll have two options. The first one will be to, so here I think it worked better. I'm not sure it's perfect, but I think it's better. Let's stick with that. I'll just take the other example to show you one trick that I love, and that really is I think an AI expert trick. So like keep it in mind. I share with you the workflow at the end, but basically here what you like Nano Banana is an amazing model, but sometimes it's frustrating. And the most frustrating thing with Nano Banana is that it doesn't keep your it struggles to replace products that look similar. So for example, here, if I ask straight Nano Banana to say, hey, replace this by the Veuve Clicquot bottle, it may struggle and actually do nothing. Other situations, the one we were just having, it keeps the proportions of the initial product. And so this is super frustrating, right? And a good way, like a trick that I found, is that I will ask to replace by a green fluo shape. At this stage, you may like, why is that? The idea here is that I want to keep a product on it to improve, like, basically that I ask this green fluo shape so the model doesn't confuse my initial product, which is like the fake demo product, and the true product I actually want to place. But I want to keep a product in it to make sure like the proportions are correct, like the lighting is correct. And this is how I get such a nice integration, I have the initial product, I just say, okay, replace it by a green fluo shape. Another alternative could be to say, just remove the product, but it's maybe a bit difficult, more difficult than for like the proportions part. And then I integrate the product. Does that make sense? Does this trick, does everyone understand this trick? Giuseppe, okay, cool. So cool if it's fine. Giuseppe, I just see a question. Does that make sense? It can. It depends on like your initial image and so on. Basically, the better quality you provide, images you provide as an input to Nano Banana, the better quality you have as an output. But indeed, Nano Banana is not super controllable on that thing. So in some cases, it might just be overkilling. It depends. So I don't have like a super clear answer, to be honest here. But it depends. On some cases, it will still add value because it will increase the quality of the texture and so on, even if then Nano Banana reduces a little bit the resolutions when it's integrated image. Okay, now we have this like cool first image. So we just have 15 minutes left. So what I do is I focus on two things now. The first thing is I focus on making a cool video based on that. And the second thing that I do, especially because Nitsan wanted it at the beginning, is once we have like this full flow where we'll have this beautiful composition image, the product in it, and the video, I show you how we can do that. Like how we can use this model to do. No. Nitsan here, I say like it. I don't turn it into the green shape because I'm like, okay, the proportion is good enough. Might not be 100% the case, but anyway, you have the here. I don't really know how the product looks in reality. It's probably indeed like proportion is probably not great. I showed you the trick, but I don't want to waste your time with that because it doesn't really add to the. I just show you the template with the green shape trick so you can use it later. So now we have this beautiful image. Let's animate it. So here I will do the same technique that I use all the time. I don't want to write the prompt myself because I'm lazy and because AI is smarter than me when it comes to writing a prompt. So here I just take a prompt system that I like. By the way, we're working on making it easier for you to get a prompt library within the product because we know it's something which is not intuitive enough at the moment. And once you have that, but we also have a lot of good prompts in the template. So feel free like to navigate for our templates and see like what you can get. So here I would say, as a prompt, I would say you are an expert in prompt generation and you're ready to create a prompt that's on the static in true. And here I don't use matching concept 2. I'll explain why I use that initially at the last step of this tutorial. Matching user instruction. And so here's the model. I will share the model like user instruction. This will be like user instruction and base image. And here I will say you will receive user instruction and starting frame of the video. As an output, you will return a detailed video prompt that creates the animation described, the image will receive. So here I just like give some context to my model like I did last time. And I provide also a pretty detailed architecture of the prompt I want. Here again, we're working on making that available to you more intuitively. But as like key things, what is usually good is, use specific guidelines. So don't use, instead of saying beautiful, say, I want this lighting, I want this surface and so on. Be specific in terms of like what camera you want to use and so on. And AI is very good to help you there. Another good thing, especially if you have outputs that you like, is to change the prompt system instructions and just to add like prompts that you like. That can be also very helpful. So here I just say very, very vague prompt at this stage. I will say something like TV advertising for this Yves Rocher trip. And here I run it. Now before it runs, which can take a little. Yeah, that's a good question. I tend to use Claude Sonnet more for the concept part. In some workflows, what I do is I split the concept part and the prompt generation part because I think Claude Sonnet is quite creative and I like that. For the prompt making, actually, I tend to like Gemini 2.5 Pro. But to be honest, I think the difference between models is not that big for LLMs. It's more a matter of how you prompt them. So I would test both and I have my favorite, but I can switch like easily, right? I wouldn't be I'm not married to one. So here, like the interesting thing is, and here we will basically leverage the best capacities of Sora or Veo 3.1, is that these models now start doing consistent several frames scenes. So here it explains like shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. What I don't like here is that there is no timestamp, yet well, let's try without timestamp. I liked when there is timestamp. Actually, at least I'm sure it fits into the right duration. And so now we have this, we have this prompt. So it's like, first static frame, then extreme close-up of a woman dipping into the cream. That will be tricky because when people with AI dipping, yes, what you can do, what you do as another instruction like we could provide, like because this is a LLM, right? The LLM would just do what you tell the LLM to do. And here, if you have a video that you like, what we could do is we could say, I add the videos that I like here as an input. Not all text nodes can read the image, but Gemini 2.5 can. Only Gemini models support video input. And then what you could say is you just need to tweak a little bit the instructions here, but you can add like you will receive an inspiration video that you use to create the video, right? And this normally should do some pretty good results. I just not do it here for like time reasons, but that's indeed a very good way to bring more creativity if you want to replicate your winning videos, or if you want to take inspiration for other brands. Now, I send that to Veo 3.1 Fast. By the way, I tend to use Veo 3.1 Fast and not Veo 3.1 because I think I don't really see the added value of Veo 3 compared with Veo 3.1. And same thing for Sora 2. I think basically the fast, Sora 2 is, I want to use Sora 2 actually. And the same thing for Sora 2 versus Sora 2 Pro, I think the difference is doesn't justify the cost difference, like the quality difference doesn't justify the cost difference. And so yeah, that's why I tend to use these two models. So we're comparing like the latest model from OpenAI and the latest model from Veo 3.1. Here's the video generation can take a little bit of time. So is that like if what we've shown since the beginning, is it clear? Or is there like, something else I should have explained? No, clear? Okay. So maybe before like, as we just have 5 minutes left, before like the video is actually generated, I'd show you like how now we have this workflow, we can just scale that across. Oh, we have a first example. By the way, here I selected 69th, but I could do also 916, right? But here you see, that was a risk I was anticipating, is that the way she dips into the cream is not too bad, but the cream is not orange in reality. So I guess here we should have anticipated that and say, and describe maybe the color, or we could have also provided a reference where the jar is open to avoid that. But yeah, otherwise the video is cool. So by the way, now like video models, both Sora and VO 3.1 can take several reference images. So like feel free to use this ability to show like, different parts of the product, for example, if you have. And here in this case, with another image of the cream itself, like the jar open with where we see the cream, we would probably have avoided this issue. Now let's see like if Sora do also, I made a mistake. I just made a 4-second video with Sora, but here we have the same issue and same thing. If you don't tell explicitly the model, it looks like food. If you don't show the model, if you don't explicitly tell in your prompt or in the reference images how the cream looks, it will like make it up. And here it made it up the wrong way because it thought like it's the same color as a jar. So this is like a typical example we could have avoided. I just like put that on the side now here. So this is like a good way to create like a pretty like nice short video, like for Instagram ads or something. Yeah. Giuseppe, I'll finish with that. I just finished like one more example, and then I'm happy to speak about the competition briefly. We do one thing, like one more thing is, and this is one of the promise also of the session is, like we have that for like one output, that's cool, but how can I have like test different concept based on that? And what we can do is use the automation capabilities of Pletor to go like, actually not to test one concept at a time, but to test like several concepts at a time. So here I just copy this prompt, which is in the lead magnet you probably have received. If you haven't, like, just drop me an email at the end of the session. What I say here is, as I say, okay, you will receive a product pack shot, product description. I won't send the brand brief. And actually, I just send a product pack shot. Based on the product pack shots and brand, because it will understand the brand and make a web search, because I will configure it to be able to web search. I ask a model like to create 3 creative concepts. One is more like UGC style, one is more like TV advertising, and one is like super, like conceptual. And here I asked the model to describe a first frame and the animation. And based on that, what I do is that I will have 3 prompts, and then I just like speed run a little bit here, and then I just show you like use the very next step. So here it created my 3 concepts, right? Concept 1, concept 2, concept 3. And then what I'll do is I'll split. I use that. This is kind of my master brain of the campaign. And now I just want to split it across different images. So not different images, but I would do this and actually use each LLM, so each AI text, to extract concept 1, concept 2, concept 3. So here I just say, like, you are a creative director, transform concept 1 starting frame into a prompt for an AI image model. And I do that here. Then here on the second one, I do the same, but I say it's concept 2. And then I do that for concept 3. So what I'm doing here is that I'm just splitting my initial prompt. My initial prompt includes 3 different concepts. Now I want to work with each concept separately. The good thing is that it's a little bit of setup the first time you do that. But the good thing with the next times is that it will always split in 3 parts automatically. And here now I have my 3 prompts, and I can simply link that to like Nano Banana, for instance, where I link that to my product, and I redo it for every model. And I'll have my 3 different assets. So here we can see the first one, which is the UGC version. We have indeed like we can improve, like there are ways to make it more UGC-like, right? But here we have indeed her face cam and so on. So that's typical UGC format. The second one we had was more like a typical TV advertising. And the first one was like the hyper creative one. That's indeed pretty creative. I have no clue. I didn't read that, but I have no clue like how it wants, what it's supposed to do, right? But at least you have the starting frame. And here, yeah, more like TV-like. And then based on that, you can, write the prompts and so on, like I did in the Notion. So I stop here. Does this last step make sense? Because I went a bit fast over there. Does the way of I create a big prompt and then I split it in 3 different directions. Is it clear for everyone? If someone didn't understand it, like just let me know. I can take 2 extra minutes to make it clearer, right? Okay. If you happen to find to figure out like it's not clear, the video replay will be available. Well, I mean, he's arriving a bit late. The video replay will be available, and you can also send me a message on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to show you. Last thing is like you have the question about Giuseppe about competition. We focus more on marketing use cases, so I think that's our main difference. And it translates into several things. The first one is we have a lot of marketing templates. I didn't walk you through the product, but we have a lot of UGC video. These kind of templates are available off the shelf, so you can save a lot of time here. The second one is we are integrated, especially for your ideation part at the moment, with social networks. So you can get data from Meta Ads Library, Instagram, TikTok, and so on. And the last thing is we have like automation features as well if you need to scale. So this is a kind of small automation possibility. But like in general, like we push a lot the use of LLMs because they are really the missing piece to make automations in general. We're also building another like integrations. Like we have an API also available if you guys are like Make and N8 experts and want to use Pletor like in your automations. And we are also integrating things like Google Drive at the moment. So once you have that working for like one use case, one product, you can just scale it across your whole e-commerce store. Any other question before we close the session? That's actually Nielsen, I think I see what you read. That's possible. Actually, what you can do is you don't necessarily need an agent for that. I can show you an example very quickly. Like here, what we could do here is we could accelerate the kind of product marketing brief, right? And what we can say is I just add a text prompt, and my text prompt is the URL of the product. And once you have the URL of the product, you can connect that to an AI text model and say, here I just need to enable web search. And then I can say, use the product link to come up with 5 arguments to sell the product in a meta creative. And here it will come up, as you will see, with like 3 arguments. So I could detail it out, right? Say like, for each one, I want the copywriting, I want the audience that will like it, and so on. But that's also the kind of stuff you can do. I have other examples where we have that kind of knowledge extraction. And by the way, that's also where you can provide your older use these Instagram nodes and so on to provide, for example, your other creatives. And so the model, the creative director that you kind of make up with the AI text node can extract these insights about you and replicate your winning ads, for example. One last question before we close it.
Let's say, now you have this flow that, let's say it's perfect. It's working for one product. I have a client, we have maybe 20 different products. So the premium subscription to platform, would it be enough? Let's say if I have this flow, would be enough to have the, let's say, plan with 20, 30 products running this flow?
You mean running at the same, like you want to show all the products in parallel, you mean? Or you mean just, I have like one asset and I just want to do the same kind of short marketing campaign with every asset?
Yeah, let's have 20 products and I like this flow and I want to run it on 20 different products. Will it end all the credit immediately? Yeah,
so here, the only the workflow is pretty cheap because this is like 4 credits, and with the cheapest of our plan, you have 1,000 credits. So basically you get 250 images like that with the product. This part also, like the composition image part, is pretty cheap as well. Because like this costs 10 credits, so it's a bit more, but it's cheap. The only expensive part of this workflow is this, because VO3 models are expensive. So this is more between, this is around 100 credits. Same thing for Sora 2. This is the expensive part. An alternative, depending on what you want to do, is to use a cheaper model like Clink 2.5 or just like Clink 2.5, for example. It's a cheaper model, and that can it's like more around 30 credits. So here, if you want to do like 30 videos, it just costs you 900 credits, which is like pretty decent, right?
Nice, thank you. Okay, I get it. Really.
Awesome. Well, if you don't have any more questions, I already took you like 7 extra minutes, so I don't want to, waste your time. Feel free to reach out if you have any question. It was a pleasure discussing with you guys today. I hope it was helpful. If you still have remaining questions, please like send me a message. I take it offline, and we also organize a lot of webinars like that. So just let me know. Thanks everyone. Bye. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Thanks. Bye everyone.